Welcome to the podcast, Let the Prophet Speak. Today we continue our study of the book of Yehoshua, the book of Joshua. We will start with chapter 2, where we go off on a little tangent. I say that because in the previous chapter we just read how God told Joshua, I want you to go bring the people across the river, and there was a lot of emphasis on do it now. Moshe passed away, get up right away and go immediately and bring the people into the land. Don't dilly-dally, don't tarry, be strong, be courageous, and move. And when Joshua spoke to the people, he also said, send people around the camp, announce to everyone within 3 days, we got to be ready, get your stuff together, let's get going. But then we recount this episode, and it's not clear exactly when this episode happened. It could have been during those 3 days. It could have been before. And it seems, and there's no big announcement here. There's no clear. It seems to be having been done by Joshua of his own initiative. And it seems that he may have done this in a way that even the people themselves, the people of Israel, didn't know that this was occurring. And there are some reasons why that might be the case. And here's where Joshua is sending the 2 spies, which we're about to read about. Now, remember, Joshua himself was one of the 12 spies that were sent when Moshe was in charge of the people back in the desert, back in the wilderness, and they were sent to spy out the entire land of Israel. And that was a very ill-fated mission, which caused the people to sin and get stuck in the desert for 40 years. And for those that recall that whole episode from the book of Numbers, during that episode, the spies came back with a report, forget it, we'll never be able to conquer the land. But Joshua was one of those spies, but he said, no, we can do it. He and Caleb were the 2 that said that no, we can do it, we can conquer the land. So it's very possible that Yehoshua here did not tell anyone about sending the spies because he didn't want to scare them into thinking, oh no, that's what held us back last time. You're sending spies again? But Yehoshua himself knew that it's possible to send spies if you send the right people and they act appropriately, they can go for the right purposes, and it won't be a mess. Yehoshua is basically saying it's the action of sending the spies wasn't the issue. It was the behavior of the people that were sent as spies and the people's reaction to them. So this time he took a few precautions. He didn't tell the people so not to get them upset, and he picked the right ones, the right messengers, and we'll see based on the way they behave that that's the case. Vayishlach Yehoshua ben Nun, Yehoshua the son of Nun, sent min Hashitim from Shittim. This is the place where the people were camped on the eastern bank of the Jordan. Shnayim anoshim, 2 men, miraglim, as spies. Cheresh, quietly, lamor, telling them the following mission. So, I want you to go check out the land and Jericho, which is the first major population center, the first defended city, walled city that the people are going to encounter as they crossed the Yarden. So he says, I want you to check out the city. That was all their entire instructions. He didn't say any more. Check out the city. And Cheresh, quietly, clearly, it would be obvious that the spies were sent, and he wouldn't be announcing to the enemy that he's sending them. So Cheresh seems to indicate that he kept this quiet even from the Jewish people themselves. Vayelchu, and they went to Jericho, presumably. Vayavo'u beit isha zona, and they came to the house of a woman, a harlot, a prostitute, Ushma Rahab, her name was Rahab, Vayishkevu shama, and they stayed there, they lodged there for the night. Now, this her profession as a harlot goes without any comment. There's no judgment here. There's no usually when the Torah refers to a zona, there's comment about it. It's said in a derogatory way. It's a criticism. It's not exactly a profession that the Torah typically approves of. But over here, there's no criticism at all. something to think about why that might be. Many suggest, and I like this understanding, is that in general, Isha Zona is at the bottom rungs of society. She's the one who she is the generally not respected, and she has to choose this profession because she's desperate and so on, and she is the most likely person to not have such an interest in keeping the city. In other words, she's the least loyal to the great people of the city. She knows their weaknesses. She has all the dirt on all of the guys who think they're big, the big leaders who probably utilize her services, and she has a lot less respect for the people in the town. And because the people in the town treat her this way, she's the most likely to be a source of information. She can give the spies a lot of information, and she's the most likely to betray the city of Jericho because she is at the lowest levels of society. She has the least to lose if the city is lost. So therefore, it's a very wise decision on the part of the spies. And also, it's the least suspicious. Two wanderers come and go visit the prostitute's house. People just assume they're going there for the same reason that everyone goes there, and they don't notice or don't make any people don't consider it something unusual. If they were visiting, some special, officer's house, people don't, ooh, who's coming? Like this, it's the least attention. So it's a wise move on their part for many reasons. However, it was noted, despite their attempts at going quietly and going to an inconspicuous place, it was still said to the king of Jericho as follows: there are some men that came here tonight, mibnei Yisrael, and they are from the people of Israel. They came to spy out the land. So the people of Jericho were clearly looking out for the people of Israel. They knew they were coming, which is not surprising. They just conquered the people on the other side of the Jordan, and everyone knew where they were heading, and the people of Jericho were waiting. So they were looking, and they saw these two men. They knew, two of those Hebrews are here. Vayishlach melech Yericho Rahab lemar. So the king of Jericho sent messengers to Rahab, the prostitute. I want you to send out those men that came to you, that came to your house. They weren't just innocent customers. They came to search out the entire land, not just visit your house. Her immediate response was not to listen to the king. Obviously, she knew she was putting herself in danger, but she decided to, and she hid the men. Vatomer, and she said, Cain, it's true, you're right. Bo Eliyahu Anashim. These men did come. But I had no idea where they're from. I thought they were just some wandering travelers, that come for the same reason as everyone else. Vayehi hashar liskar, and it was about time to close up the gates of the town. Bachoshech, in the darkness. V'anashim yatso, and they left. They left the gates. They left the city. Lo yadati anhalchu anashim. I don't know where they went. They went out. Ridfu Meyer, you better run fast. Achareim, to chase after them. Kit hasigum, if you want to catch up to them, you better move. So she pretended to be on their side. She said, "Oh my gosh, well, you mean really they were potential enemies? You better go run fast. Look." So this, in order to take the suspicion away from herself, she acted as if she was all nervous and worried. So this wasn't just any ordinary woman. She was very smart. She understood how to play the king, how to play his officers. And Vihi, what did she do? He'elotam hagoga. She brought them up to the roof, vatitmeneim, and hid them bepishtea eitz, under the some branches of flax, haruchot la hagog, that were lying on her roof, presumably for kindling or something, or maybe to use to make clothing out of the flax or whatever it was. She had these piles of bits of wood. She hid them under the wood so that even if they would search her house, they wouldn't find them. And the messengers of the king that were looking, they went chasing after them, derech hayarden, towards the Jordan River, al hamaberot, towards the place where people would cross the river. V'hashar garu acharei ka'asher yatzu harodfim acharayim. And as soon as the pursuers went out, the gates closed behind them, and so even if they were to run all the way to the river and not find them, they wouldn't be able to get back to the city and bring the news that the people had not been found. Ve'ema, and they, meaning the spies, Tera Mishkavon, before they had fallen asleep under the pile of wood where she hid them, he also aleim alagog. She went up to them onto the roof to speak with them. Vatomer el hanoshim, and she said to the men, and this is a really interesting speech. Yadati, I know ki natana Adonai lochem et haaretz. I know that God is giving to you the land. That's clear to me. I know, right? I'm being smart. I realize that we don't stand a chance against you. And I also know that our morale is gone. We, the people here in Jericho and the people in this land, we are afraid of you, we're scared of you, we're frightened. Mogu, and this is a very strong word, and we are shaking, that the Kol Yoshvei Aretz Mipnechem, the people of the land are shaking and scared to death, literally, because of you. Kishamanu, why are we so afraid of you? Because we heard what happened. Shamanu et asher hovisha Adonai et mei yam suf b'bnechem. We heard this incredible miracle where God dried up the sea of reeds in front of you, b'tzeitchem mitzrayim, when you were leaving Egypt. V'asher asitem l'shnei malchei ha'amori. We learned what you did to the two kings of the Amorites. Asher be'ever yard, didn't live on the east side in that land which is going to be settled, or is already settled by 2.5 tribes. Reuven, Gad, and part of Manasseh, L'sichon og, to Sichon and Og, Hasher hecharamtem osam, you destroyed them. So we know God is with you, and we know you're powerful warriors. You destroyed those kings who were the ones, they were standing in the way of between you and the land of Israel, but you conquered them. So, number one, God performed this great miracle for you, and number two, those great kings were destroyed. Vanishma, and we heard about it. Vayimas levavenu, and our hearts have melted. This is just a saying, our morale is gone. Velokama od ruach beish b'pnechem. There isn't any more strength in any of the people here from before you. They don't have the strength to fight. They're not going to be able to fight you. So I know that you guys are going to win. Ki Adonai Elohechem hu Elohim b'shamayim ima'al b'aretz mitachas. Because your God, He is the God in the heavens above and the earth below. So here she's saying that we understand that your God is not just another one of the pagan gods. Your God is the one that rules over everything. She's already getting the beginnings of the idea of monotheism. V'ata, and now, hishavu na li b'Adonai, I want you please to swear to me by God. Ki asisi imachem chesed, because I have done something kind to you. V'asisem gamatem in base avi chesed. I want you also to do for me and my family, with my family, chesed, kindness. Unesatem li os emes. I want you to give me a sign of truth, a true sign. I want you to give me a sign that demonstrates to me that you really will be kind to me and my family and spare us the fate of the rest of the people of this town. V'achaisem, I want you to allow to live, this is verse 13, et aviv, my father, v'etimi, and my mother, v'etachai, and my brothers, v'etachusai, and my sisters, v'et kol asher lohem, and everything that they own, v'hitzaltem et nafshostenu mimaves. I want you to save our lives from the fate of death. Vayomru lo ha'anashim, and the men said to her, nafshenu tachtechem lamus. Our own lives will go instead of you for death. In other words, we will defend you to even die ourselves defending you. Im lo tagidu et devarenu zeh. As long as if you don't divulge our mission, when we leave, if you don't go and say, yes, these two men were there, and you make sure that the secret remains, and you keep the secret, we will keep our word and protect you with our lives. And then it will be that when God puts in our hands this land, and then we will do with you kindness and truth. We will be true to you. We will keep our word. And what happened? She apparently lived in the walls of the city in a especially vulnerable place, being at the lower rungs of society. She was living in the wall of the city. She lowered them by a rope through the window, because her house was in the wall, and she lived within the wall itself. And she said to them, run towards the mountain, because she knew which way the other people ran. So because this way, if you go towards the mountain, the runners who ran presumably on a road that it was not in the mountain area, lest they meet you, so go to the mountain so they don't meet you and catch you. You can hide there in the mountain for 3 days, because that's about how long it will take for them to go all the way to the Jordan and back. And after 3 days, you can go on your way, and you can be guaranteed that they won't catch you. And the men said to her, Nikiyim anachnu, mishvuatei chazer asher hishbatanu. We will be clean. In other words, we will not be bound by this from your oath that we made to you, if you don't fulfill the following condition. In other words, we swore to defend you with our lives, but you need to do this following condition in order for us to fulfill it. And what is that condition? Verse 18, we are going to come into the land, it won't be long, we'll be here. And when we come at tikvat chut hashoni hazeh, this red rope, tikshari, in other words, that you're using to lower us from the window, tikshari bachalon asher horatenu bo. Well, that's not necessarily the case. It could mean just another red rope or ribbon. Tie in the window asher horatenu bo, from that window which you lowered us from, v'et avich v'et imech v'et achayach v'et kol beis avich, and your entire family, to bring them all into your home. So we'll know this window marks the room in which your entire family is present. And it will be, whoever leaves the doors of your house to the outside, his blood is on his head. He's responsible for his own life. He must stay in that room. And we will be absolved of having to keep this oath that we made to you. And everything that remains with you in the house, damo biroshenu, his blood will be in our hands. In other words, we are responsible to protect everyone that is in that room, im yad tiabo, lest any hand come against that person. Vim tagidi et devarenu zeh. So in other words, that's one condition you need to fulfill. They have to be in that room, and you have to mark the window, right? And further, if you do divulge our mission and this secret that we have given to you of the red ribbon, we will then be absolved from the obligation of keeping this oath that we made to you. And she said, just like you said, that's how it is. And she sent them away, and they left, and she tied the red ribbon in the window. And they ran and they went to the mountain, and they stayed there for 3 days. So this is how, because of the timing here, it's clear that Yoshua had sent them before he told the people to get ready to go to the Jordan, which Joshua must have sent them beforehand, because it would have taken them 3 days to get to they had to get to the town. So, I mean, if it's Shavu HaRoad from the runners that went to the Jordan and back, right, it took a total of 3 days, right? So that means it took them a day and a half to the Jordan, a day and a half back, right? So these spies, it had to have taken them at least a day and a half to get from the Jordan to the town. And then they stayed overnight, and then they were in the mountain for 3 days, right? And then they had another day and a half back. So it would have been at least 6 days. So Yoshua must have sent them before the people were told that they're heading to the on this mission. So Vayavakshua rode from B'chol Haderech Lo Matzo, and the runners, the searchers, had searched the entire road. This is important, search the road, but not the mountain, just like Rahab had assumed would happen, and therefore they didn't find them because they were hiding in the mountain. Vayashuvu Shnei Ha'anashim Vayirdu Me'ahar, and the two people returned, the two men returned, and they came down from the mountain. Vayavru, and they passed over the river. Vayavo'u El Yoshua ben Nun, and they came to Joshua, Yoshua ben Nun, Vayesapru Lo Et Kol HaMotzaot Otam, and they told to him all of the things that had happened, everything they saw in Jericho, and so on. And the main thing is, we'll find out, Vayomer El Yoshua, the main piece of news they had was not... Presumably, they also had information about the walls and how many defenders there were and how many weapons they had. But the main piece of information was not so much that, as important as that is, but Vayomer Yeshua ki natana Adonai biyadenu es haaretz. They knew that God has given the entire land into our hands. V'gam namogu kol yoshvi haaretz mipanenu, and also all of the people of the land are frightened, scared to death of us. And they understood when they saw that the morale, or the lack of morale, of the people in the land, they knew for sure that victory would be in their hands. That concludes chapter 2. Thank you so much for studying chapter 2. Looking forward to studying more chapters with you together. Have a wonderful day.